a world where heroes sell energy drinks and war crimes get swept under red carpets, where capes are focus grouped and rescues are scripted for maximum shareability, one man walked in wearing a yellow suit and gave absolutely zero fucks about the branding meeting. This is the story of what happens when genuine power meets manufactured heroism. When a man who can end any fight with one punch enters an industry that profits from never letting the fight end. When Saitama stepped into Vought America, he didn't bring revolution. He brought something far more dangerous. Complete, devastating indifference to everything they'd built. The semi-truck jackknifed on the I-90 with the theatrical precision of a Michael Bay wet dream, its cargo container tearing loose and tumbling toward the morning commuter. Traffic, like a 50-ton bowling ball, aimed at screaming pins. Phones were already up, already recording, because in 2024, if tragedy isn't trending, did it even happen? The Vought Transport Solutions logo gleamed on the container's side, which meant the company's crisis PR team had approximately 90 seconds before this became a stock price problem. Inside the vehicles about to be crushed, people prayed to gods and heroes, though in Vought America, the line between those two had been focus grouped into oblivion. Then a bold man in a yellow jumpsuit and a white cape caught the container one-handed. He'd been walking to the supermarket. The Tuesday sale on premium beef was ending at noon, and Saitama had woken up specifically for this. He had his reusable shopping bag, his coupon folder, and absolutely no intention of becoming viral content. The container weighed approximately 40,000 pounds loaded. Saitama held it like a breakfast tray, his expression registering the emotional intensity of someone who'd found their coffee slightly colder than preferred. "Oh," he said. Just that. "Oh." The commuters stared. The phones recorded. Somewhere in Vought Tower, an algorithm flagged the footage before the first post even finished uploading. Saitama set the container down on the highway shoulder with the careful precision of someone who'd broken too many things by accident and had learned to be gentle. The truck driver was hanging upside down in his cab, held by a seatbelt, and gravity and the kind of adrenaline that makes reality feel like a fever dream. "You okay?" Saitama asked, his voice flat and genuine in the way that made people uncertain if he was being sarcastic. That was," the driver stammered. "Yeah, it was falling," Saitama confirmed. "It's not falling now. You should probably call someone about the truck." He checked his watch, a $15 digital thing that beeped every hour, because he'd never figured out how to turn that function off, and winced. 11:47. He'd have to run to make the sale. He launched himself down the highway at a sprint that cracked the asphalt and left a wind tunnel of displaced air that flipped 3 sedans like they were in a hydraulic stunt show. Behind him, 200 phones captured everything. And in the algorithmic halls of Vought International's social media monitoring division, 19 different crisis protocols activated simultaneously. The footage hit Twitter at 11:51 a.m. By 11:53, it had 60,000 views. By 11:55, Vought's digital scrubbers were already trying to suppress it. But the internet has a beautiful way of preserving exactly the things powerful people want erased. Reddit threads spawned. TikTok breakdowns analyzed the physics. YouTube channels with names like Soup Truth Exposed added dramatic music and circles around Saitama's face. The questions came fast. Who is he? What compound V variant explains that strength? Why isn't he registered? And most importantly, why the fuck is he dressed like a low-budget cosplayer? At Vought Tower, in the executive suite where capitalism and sociopathy held daily threesomes with American exceptionalism, Madeline Stillwell watched the footage for the 7th time. She wore her power suit like armor and her smile like a knife. "Ashley, tell me we have an ID on this man." Ashley Barrett, whose anxiety disorder had an anxiety disorder, scrolled through 3 tablets simultaneously. Nothing in the Supe registry. Nothing in federal databases. No social media presence. No purchase history for anything except, oh God, except grocery store loyalty cards and manga subscriptions. He's a ghost who really likes sales and Japanese comics. Everyone has a file, Madeline said, her voice cold and certain. Not this one, Ashley whispered. On the largest screen in the room, Homelander stood with his arms crossed, watching the footage of Saitama catch the container. His jaw was tight. His eyes held the particular glaze of someone watching their godhood get challenged by a man in a Halloween costume. He's strong, Homelander said quietly. Too quietly, the kind of quiet that preceded laser-induced mass casualties. We don't know that, Madeline said smoothly. Could be camera tricks, angles, CGI. Homelander turned to her with a smile that had ended careers and lives. Madeline, I can see the molecular displacement in the air. I can see the fracture patterns in the asphalt. I can see his heartbeat in the footage. His voice dropped to a whisper. He's not even sweating. Across the city, in a basement apartment in Brooklyn that smelled like cigarettes and vendetta, Billy Butcher watched the same footage on a laptop held together by duct tape and spite. He'd seen a lot of soups do a lot of things. He'd seen Homelander catch planes and Maeve stop armored trucks. He'd seen Compound V turn normal people into flying gods and absolute monsters. But he'd never seen someone catch 40,000 pounds like it was a shopping bag. More importantly, he'd never seen someone do it with that expression, like it was boring. "Oi, Huey," Butcher called out, not looking away from the screen. "Come look at this bald cunt." Huey Campbell appeared in the doorway, perpetually nervous, perpetually traumatized, perpetually one bad day from a complete breakdown. "Is that real?" "Real as your dead girlfriend, mate," Butcher said, which was his version of sensitivity. He rewound the footage, watched it again, watched the way Saitama moved, no showboating, no pose for the cameras, just functional efficiency and immediate departure. He's not Vought, no branding, no handler, no PR smile. And look at his face. He don't give a single fuck about the attention. "So what does he give a fuck about?" Huey asked. Butcher grinned. And it was the grin of a man who'd just found a new weapon to aim at gods. "That, Huey, is what we're gonna find out." At 2:34 p.m., Saitama sat in his apartment eating discount beef with rice, watching a hero show where the protagonist spent 3 episodes powering up for one attack. His apartment was aggressively normal, a small kitchen, a futon, a TV that had been old when analog died, and absolutely zero awareness that his face was currently on every news network in America. His phone, a flip model from 2008, sat on the counter, blissfully unable to receive the flood of digital attention trying to find him. He took another bite of beef. It was okay, not great. The sale had been worth it. But barely. Someone knocked on his door. Saitama looked up, mildly annoyed at the interruption during the show's climax. He opened the door to find a man in a black coat with a beard that looked like it was grown from pure violence and a smile that promised absolutely nothing good. "All right, mate," Billy Butcher said. "We need to have a chat about what you did this morning." Saitama blinked. "I went grocery shopping." "Yeah," Butcher said. "And apparently you caught a fucking truck first. Mind if I come in?" Saitama considered this. The beef was getting cold. The show was reaching its dramatic conclusion. But the man seemed determined, and Saitama had learned that determined people didn't leave until you heard them out. "Okay," he said, stepping aside. "But I'm not buying anything." Butcher walked in, looked around at the aggressively mundane apartment, and felt his entire worldview shift slightly. He'd expected something: weapons, Compound V injectors, secret identities on the wall like a serial killer's shrine. Instead, he got clearance, manga, cup noodles, and a TV showing some kid with spiky hair screaming at another kid with spikier hair. "Cozy," Butcher said. "It's cheap," Saitama corrected, sitting back down with his beef. "Did you need something specific? Did you need something? Did you need something?" And there it was, the deadpan delivery that made Butcher certain of one thing. This bald man in a yellow suit was either the greatest actor he'd ever met, or genuinely, catastrophically indifferent to the shitstorm he'd just created. Either way, Billy Butcher had found his next play, and in a world built on lies, manufactured heroism, and corporate superpowered sociopaths, an authentic wildcard was worth its weight in Compound V. Listen, if you love crossovers that respect both worlds and don't pull punches, smash that subscribe button and drop a comment with your dream matchup. Goku and the boys, Doomslayer in Mass Effect. We're building the multiverse one story at a time, and your boy Saitama is just getting started. Now let's see what happens when Vought realizes they can't control what they can't understand. Butcher sat on Saitama's couch, a piece of furniture that looked like it had been rescued from a 1,990 seconds dorm room, and pulled out a tablet that he'd liberated from a Vought facility 3 months ago. The screen showed the highway footage from 7 different angles, all captured by bystanders, all showing the same impossible feat. "So here's the thing, mate," Butcher began, swiping through the videos. "You've gone and made yourself famous. Every news outlet, every social media platform, every Vought algorithm is looking for you right now. You're the mystery soup who saved a bunch of commuters and then fucked off before anyone could get your autograph." Saitama paused mid-chew, his expression flickering with something that might have been mild concern. "I'm on the news? You're not just on the news, mate. You are the news. #BaldHero is trending worldwide. People are calling you everything from Jesus Christ's stunt double to a Russian super soldier prototype." Butcher leaned forward, his eyes sharp and calculating. "But here's what's interesting. Vought can't find you. No records, no registry, no corporate handler. In their world, that's like finding a unicorn that shits plutonium. They're either gonna want to sign you or disappear you, and neither option ends with you eating discount beef in peace." Saitama set down his bowl and looked at Butcher with the kind of flat attention that made people uncomfortable. "I just wanted the beef sale. The container was falling. I moved it. I don't understand why that's complicated. Because in this world, heroism is a product," Butcher said, his voice taking on the edge of someone explaining a joke to the punchline itself. "Vought International owns 90% of the superhero market. They create soups with Compound V, brand them like breakfast cereal, and sell them to cities as security solutions. Every rescue is filmed, every tragedy is monetized, and every hero has a contract thicker than a phone book. You just did a hero act without permission, without branding, and without giving them a cut. That makes you either a competitor or a threat." Saitama processed this information with the same energy he'd process instructions for assembling furniture. "So they're going to try to hire me. Or kill you," Butcher added cheerfully. "Probably hire first, kill second if you don't play ball. In fact, I make it my life's mission to fuck with Vought and every cape-wearing sociopath on their payroll. And you, my bald friend, just became the most valuable free agent in the game." He leaned back, spreading his arms across the couch. "So I'm here to offer you something they can't: honesty. No contracts, no PR handlers, no focus groups deciding if your origin story needs more dead parents. Just straight talk about what you're walking into." Saitama considered this. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. The city hummed with its usual chaos. His show had gone to commercial, and the beef was now definitely cold. "I'm not really interested in being a hero professionally," he said finally. I'm just a guy who's a hero for fun. Butcher blinked. Once, twice. Then he started laughing, the kind of laugh that came from deep in the chest and sounded like it was scraping past years of trauma. A hero for fun. Fucking hell, mate. Do you have any idea how many people in this city would kill for that kind of authenticity? The 7 spend 6 hours a day in PR training, learning how to cry on command. You just saved a highway full of people because you were walking to the shops. He wiped his eyes. You're either the most dangerous man in America or the most honest. Maybe both. Before Saitama could respond, his flip phone rang. The ringtone was the default beep that came with the phone in 2008. Saitama picked it up, flipped it open with a satisfying click, and answered. Hello? The voice on the other end was smooth, professional, and carried the kind of artificial warmth that came from extensive media training. Hi there. Is this the gentleman who assisted with the highway incident this morning? My name is Ashley Barrett, and I'm calling from Vought International's Hero Management Division. We'd love to talk to you about an exciting opportunity. I'm not interested in opportunities, Saitama said. Ashley's voice hitched slightly, the script in her head colliding with unexpected resistance. I completely understand, sir, but this is regarding your incredible act of heroism today. We at Vought believe that someone with your unique abilities deserves proper recognition and support. We'd like to invite you to our headquarters for a casual conversation, no pressure, no obligations. Just a chance to discuss how we can help you help more people. Butcher was making frantic cutting gestures across his throat, his face twisted in a silent scream of... Saitama looked at the cold beef, then at Butcher's theatrical warnings, then back at the phone. Ashley Barrett, trained in 17 different negotiation tactics and 43 de-escalation techniques, had never encountered this particular response. Yes, we have excellent catering. 5-star chefs, whatever you'd like. Okay, Saitama said. What time? Would tomorrow at 10 a.m. work? We'll send a car. I'll walk, Saitama interrupted. What's the address? Butcher was now actively miming, hanging up the phone, his face red, his hands making increasingly desperate gestures that looked like a man trying to signal a plane while being attacked by invisible bees. Ashley provided the address with the relief of someone who just closed an impossible sale. We're so excited to meet you, Mr. Saitama. Wonderful. Just Saitama. No last name, or just Saitama. He hung up, snapped the phone closed, and looked at Butcher's horrified expression. What? Butcher stood up, pacing the small apartment like a caged animal. You just agreed to walk into the belly of the beast, mate. Vought Tower is where they turn heroes into products and people into statistics. You think they're inviting you for a chat and some canapes? They're gonna scan you, test you, contract you, and if you're lucky, you'll walk out with your soul only partially owned by corporate America. Saitama shrugged. They said there would be food. Butcher stared at him. He'd dealt with psychopaths, sociopaths, and Homelander, who was both and then some. But this was something entirely new. This was a man so fundamentally detached from self-preservation that it looped back around to being a superpower itself. Butcher said slowly, Right. Okay. New plan. You go to your little Vought meeting, but I'm gonna be nearby with surveillance equipment and an exit strategy. Because when this goes sideways, and it will go sideways, you're gonna need someone who knows which doors lead out and which ones lead to a dissection table. Saitama nodded, picking up his bowl of cold beef and eating another bite. It was definitely worse cold, but wasting food felt wrong. Okay, thanks. Butcher grabbed his coat, heading for the door, then paused. One more thing, mate. When you're in there, surrounded by corporate sharks and superhero sociopaths, remember this. They're gonna try to make you think you need them. They're gonna offer you fame, money, purpose, all the shit people think they want. But you caught a 40,000-pound container because you were walking to the shops. You don't need them, they need you. And that scares the absolute piss out of them. He opened the door, then looked back one more time. Don't let them put you in a suit. I already have a suit, Saitama said, gesturing to his yellow jumpsuit hanging on a hook by the bathroom. Butcher looked at the outfit. The bright yellow, the white cape, the red gloves and boots that looked like they came from a costume shop's clearance bin. In any other context, it would have been laughable. But after watching the footage, after seeing this bald man catch impossibility with one hand and yawn through it, the suit suddenly felt less like a joke and more like a middle finger to every focus-grouped costume in Vaught's catalog. Yeah, Butcher said, grinning. Yeah, you do. Keep it on, mate. Keep it exactly like that. After Butcher left, Saitama returned to his show. The protagonist had finally finished powering up and delivered his ultimate attack. It destroyed 3 mountains and defeated the villain in one hit. Saitama watched it with the expression of someone who understood the feeling a little too well. His phone buzzed a text message notification that his flip phone displayed in chunky green text. It was from a number he didn't recognize. Looking forward to meeting you tomorrow. Vought. International. Changes lives. Yours is about to change too. Saitama deleted it and went back to his show. Across the city, in Vought Tower's executive suite, Madeline Stillwell smiled at her phone and turned to Homelander. He's coming in tomorrow. Homelander's expression was unreadable, his eyes distant and calculating. Good, he said quietly. I want to meet the man who thinks he can be a hero in my city without my permission. His smile spread slowly, and it was the smile of someone who'd never encountered a problem he couldn't laser through. Let's see if he bleeds. Vought Tower stood in the heart of Manhattan like a glass and steel middle finger to humility, its logo visible from 3 boroughs, and designed to catch the sunrise in a way that made the building literally glow with corporate divinity. Tourist buses stopped for photo opportunities. School field trips gathered in the lobby to gawk at hero memorabilia behind velvet ropes. Every surface was polished to mirror brightness, every angle calculated for maximum Instagram value. This was the temple of American heroism, where truth came to die professionally, and justice wore a trademark symbol. Saitama walked through the front doors at 9:57 a.m. wearing his yellow suit, white cape, and red boots. He'd taken the subway. A child had asked if he was going to a costume party. Saitama had said no, and spent the rest of the ride wondering if he should have said yes to avoid follow-up questions. The lobby security guard, a man named Marcus who'd seen every kind of person walk through these doors, from A-list celebrities to international war criminals in tailored suits, looked at Saitama and experienced the unique cognitive dissonance of seeing someone dressed like a rejected anime character walking with the casual confidence of someone who owned the building. "Can I help you?" "Sir, I have a meeting," Saitama said. "Someone named Ashley called yesterday." Marcus checked his tablet, scrolling through the day's appointments with increasing concern because this bald man in what appeared to be a cosplay outfit was definitely on the executive floor visitor list, with a priority tag that Marcus had only seen reserved for senators and dictators with oil money. "You're Saitama?" "Yes." "Just Saitama?" "Yes." Marcus handed him a visitor badge that cost more than most people's car payments and was embedded with 6 different tracking technologies. 82nd floor. Elevators are to your right. Someone will meet you up there. He watched Saitama walk away, cape swishing slightly, and immediately texted his supervisor. "We got a weird one heading to exec level. Guy looks like he raided a party city. The elevator was the kind of excessive that only happened when architects were given unlimited budgets and told to make transportation feel like a religious experience. Glass walls, ambient lighting that shifted through calming colors, and a subtle audio track of inspirational music that had been psychologically engineered to make people feel small and grateful. Saitama stood in the center, watching the floors tick by, his expression suggesting he was thinking about whether he'd left the stove on. He had not. He didn't cook breakfast today, just cereal. But the thought persisted anyway. The elevator opened on the 82nd floor, and Ashley Barrett was waiting with a smile that had been practiced in mirrors and refined through 1,000 awkward encounters with superhero egos. She wore a power suit, held a tablet, and radiated the specific energy of someone perpetually 3 seconds from a panic attack, but aggressively hiding it. Saitama, welcome to Vought International. I'm Ashley Barrett, Senior Vice President of Hero Management. We're so thrilled you could make it. Saitama stepped out of the elevator. You mentioned food. Ashley's smile flickered a brief moment of buffering before recovering. Yes, absolutely. We have a full breakfast spread in the conference room. But first, I'd love to give you a quick tour of our facilities. This floor houses our primary hero operations, contract negotiations, and strategic partnerships division. Through those doors is where we coordinate all 7 activities, media appearances, and can we see the food first? Saitama interrupted, his tone polite but immovable. Ashley Barrett had negotiated with the Deep's agent over aquatic rescue percentages. She'd managed Homelander's schedule during his Laser Eyes PR crisis. She'd once talked A-Train down from a cocaine-fueled press conference at 3 a.m. But something about this bald man's complete lack of social anxiety or self-consciousness made her feel like she was negotiating with a brick wall that had achieved sentience. Of course, she said, smile locked in place. Right this way, Jane. The conference room was designed for intimidation, disguised as hospitality. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Manhattan. A table that could seat 20 was laden with catering that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Fresh fruit arranged like art, pastries from bakeries that required reservations, coffee from beans that had been personally blessed by Colombian farmers, and a sushi station because Vought believed raw fish at 10 a.m. communicated sophistication. Saitama looked at it all, walked directly to the pastries, and picked up a croissant. He bit into it, chewed, swallowed. It's okay, he said. Ashley's eye twitched microscopically. That croissant cost $47. It had been flown in from Paris yesterday. A food critic had once called it buttery transcendence in carbohydrate form. And this man, in a yellow suit, had just rated it okay, with the enthusiasm of someone reviewing gas station coffee. I'm glad you're enjoying it, she said, lying professionally. Now, while you eat, why don't we talk about what brings you here? Your actions yesterday on the I-90 were remarkable, truly heroic. And we at Vought believe that heroism deserves support, structure, and recognition. Saitama took another bite, looking out the window at the city below. From this height, people looked like ants, cars like toys, the whole sprawling mess of humanity reduced to something manageable and small. He'd seen this view before, from different heights in different cities, and it always made him feel the same way, detached, distant, like he was looking at a world he'd stepped outside of. I wasn't trying to be heroic, he said. The container was falling. I moved it. That's all. Ashley seized on this, her training kicking in. But that's exactly what makes you special, Saitama. You didn't do it for cameras or credit. You did it because it was right. That's the kind of authentic heroism that America is hungry for. People are tired of manufactured moments. They want real heroes, and we can help you become that hero for them. I'm already a hero, Saitama said, finishing the croissant and reaching for another. The door opened. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees through pure force of presence. Homelander walked in, wearing his suit, the red, white, and blue costume that had been focus grouped to appeal to every demographic and tested for maximum patriotic impact. His cape moved with artificial drama, augmented by precise walking speed, calculated to make it billow. His smile was perfect. His hair was perfect. Everything about him screamed manufactured divinity. And he knew it, and he loved it. "So, you're the guy," Homelander said, his voice carrying the friendly warmth of a predator trying to decide if you're food or competition. Saitama turned, holding a croissant, his expression neutral. Homelander's smile stayed locked, but his eyes, those terrifying blue eyes that had seen through walls and bodies and secrets, scanned Saitama from head to toe. He could see heartbeats, see blood flow, see the microscopic movements that betrayed fear or lying or weakness. What he saw in Saitama was nothing. No elevated heart rate. No stress hormones flooding the system. No microscopic tension in muscles preparing for fight or flight. Just calm, profound, absolute, almost meditative calm. It was like looking at a mannequin, except mannequins didn't breathe, and this man did. Just so slowly that it barely registered. "I watched your little performance yesterday," Homelander continued, walking closer with the casual confidence of someone who'd never lost a fight. "Impressive party trick. Catching the container, very strong. Must have been quite the rush." "Not really," Saitama said. "It wasn't heavy." Homelander's smile tightened microscopically. 40,000 pounds wasn't heavy? No. The silence that followed was the kind that happened when someone used to being the most powerful person in every room encountered something their worldview couldn't immediately categorize. Homelander had been lied to, praised, feared, and worshipped. But casual dismissal of physics from a man in a costume that looked like it cost $30 was new. "Right," Homelander said slowly. "Well, strength is great and all. But being a hero is about more than just muscles. It's about image, presence, connecting with people, making them feel safe, making them believe in something bigger than themselves." He gestured to himself. "That's what I do. That's what the Seven does. We're not just heroes. We're symbols." Saitama finished his second croissant and looked at Homelander with the kind of attention people usually reserved for mildly interesting weather patterns. "Why do you need to be a symbol? Can't you just help people?" Homelander's eye twitched. A genuine, uncontrolled twitch that Ashley Barrett recognized as the warning sign that preceded either charm offensive or mass casualty event. "Helping people is what we do," Homelander said, his voice still friendly but now carrying an edge that could cut steel. "But we do it properly. We do it with accountability, oversight, and public trust. We're not some vigilante in a homemade costume playing hero in the streets. We're professionals." "Okay," Saitama said, completely unmoved by the implied criticism. He looked at Ashley. "Is there more food? Or is this it?" Ashley Barrett, whose job description had expanded over the years to include preventing Homelander from lasering people he found irritating, jumped in with aggressive hospitality. "We have more in the kitchen. Let me get someone to bring it out." "Saitama, while we do that, maybe you'd like to hear more about what Vought can offer you. Training facilities, costume designers, media coaching, a competitive salary." "I don't need training," Saitama said, "or costume designers. This suit is fine." Homelander laughed. It was the laugh of someone trying very hard to maintain composure while experiencing an emotion he rarely felt and didn't know how to process inadequacy. "Buddy, I'm gonna be straight with you. That suit looks like something a kid made for Halloween. If you want to be taken seriously, you need a professional look, something with presence, impact. He gestured to his own costume. Something designed by people who understand brand identity. Saitama looked down at his yellow suit, then back at Homelander's red, white, and blue costume with its eagle emblem and star-spangled drama. "My suit is more comfortable," he said simply. "And I can move in it. Your suit looks tight." Homelander's smile vanished for exactly half a second before reinstalling itself through sheer force of will. "It's designed for optimal aerodynamics during flight." "Oh, you can fly," Saitama said, and for the first time, there was something almost like interest in his voice. "That's cool. I just jump really high." Something in Homelander's expression shifted, a predatory calculation, a decision being made behind those perfect blue eyes. "You know what? Why don't we head down to the training facility? I'd love to see what you can really do. Maybe spar a little, hero to hero. Help you understand what it takes to operate at our level." His smile returned, sharper now, more honest. "Unless you're worried about keeping up." Saitama considered this. The croissants were gone. The meeting was boring. And the man in the tight suit seemed very insistent on proving something. "Okay," he said. "But if there's more food after, I'm interested in the sushi." The training facility occupied 3 subterranean floors beneath Vought Tower, designed to withstand superhuman combat and equipped with technology that could have defended small nations. Reinforced walls rated for nuclear blasts, kinetic dampeners that could absorb Homelander's heat vision without melting, medical stations with trauma equipment that assumed limbs might need reattaching. This was where Vought tested the limits of its products, and where those products occasionally tested the limits of their handlers' insurance policies. Ashley Barrett walked beside Saitama through corridors lined with observation windows, her heels clicking against polished concrete, her tablet clutched like a security blanket. "Our training facility is state-of-the-art," she said, falling back into tour guide mode because familiar scripts helped manage anxiety. "We've hosted everyone, from local heroes to international superhuman assets. The main arena can simulate any environment: urban, desert, underwater, even zero gravity. Safety is our top priority, so we have medical teams on standby and—" "Does anyone ever get hurt?" Saitama interrupted, watching technicians through a window calibrate what appeared to be a 20-foot mechanical spider. Ashley's smile flickered. "Sometimes. Training at this level can be intense, but our medical staff is equipped to handle anything short of complete disintegration." "That's good," Saitama said, though his tone suggested he was just being polite rather than actually concerned. They entered the main arena, a space the size of 3 football fields, with a ceiling that vaulted into darkness and walls covered in blast-resistant plating. Homelander was already waiting in the center, cape removed, doing shoulder rolls that were purely for show, because his muscles didn't require warming up and everyone knew it. Around the perimeter, technicians manned monitoring stations while cameras positioned at 12 different angles prepared to record every moment for analysis, insurance purposes, and potential promotional content if things went well. Madeline Stillwell watched from the observation deck above, her arms crossed, her expression calculating. Beside her stood Black Noir, silent as always, his masked face revealing nothing. On the other side, the Deep tried to look casual, while very obviously wanting to be anywhere else. "This is stupid," he muttered. "Homelander's going to kill him. Homelander's going to test him," Madeline corrected, her eyes never leaving the arena floor. "There's a difference. We need to know what this man can actually do before we make him an offer. If he's weak, we'll sign him to a minor market contract and bury him in Cleveland. If he's strong—" She paused, watching Saitama walk across the arena floor with his hands in his pockets, completely unconcerned. "If he's strong, we need to know exactly how strong. In the arena, Homelander cracked his knuckles, another unnecessary gesture that communicated threat to anyone watching. "All right, here's how this works," he said, his voice echoing in the vast space. "We start light, trading blows, testing reflexes. Nothing lethal. I want to see what you've got, and you get to see what real power looks like. Sound good?" Saitama stood 15 feet away, hands still in his pockets, his cape hanging limp in the recycled air. "Okay, but I should probably warn you," Homelander moved. Not quite full speed, but fast enough that normal humans would have seen a blur. He closed the distance in a fraction of a second and threw a punch aimed at Saitama's chest, controlled, measured, but still carrying enough force to crack ribs on anyone without super durability. The punch connected with Saitama's sternum with a sound like a hammer hitting a brick wall. Saitama rocked back slightly on his heels. His expression didn't change. Homelander's fist, however, had stopped completely, absorbed by whatever impossible physics governed Saitama's body. Homelander pulled his hand back, looking at his knuckles, then at Saitama. "Huh," he said. "Durable. Good. Let's try something with a little more juice." He threw 3 more punches in rapid succession, left, right, uppercut, each one faster and harder than the last, each one landing with sounds like artillery fire. Saitama stood there and took them, his body absorbing impacts that would have turned concrete into dust. His cape fluttered slightly from the displaced air. His expression remained bored. "Are you done?" Saitama asked. Something dangerous flickered across Homelander's face, the crack in the mask, the glimpse of the thing underneath the PR-friendly smile. "Not even close," he said. And his eyes began to glow red. "Sir!" Ashley's voice crackled over the intercom, panic barely controlled. "Thermal weapons are restricted in training scenarios without proper clearance. And it's fine, Ashley." Maitland's voice cut in, smooth and cold. "Let them work it out." The heat vision lanced across the space, twin beams of concentrated thermal energy that could cut through tank armor and had once bisected a plane at 30,000 feet. They struck Saitama in the chest, right where his suit's zipper met fabric, and the entire arena lit up red. Smoke billowed. The temperature spiked 40 degrees in 3 seconds. Alarm systems began screaming. Medical teams rushed toward the entrance. The Deep actually stepped back from the observation window. When the smoke cleared, Saitama stood exactly where he'd been, completely unharmed. His suit wasn't even singed. He looked down at his chest, patted it once to check for damage, then looked back at Homelander. "That tickled a little," he said. Homelander's smile was gone now, replaced by something colder and infinitely more dangerous. "What the fuck are you?" he whispered, but the arena's acoustics carried it to every microphone. "I'm a hero for fun," Saitama said, pulling his hands from his pockets. "You asked me to spar. Is it my turn now? Bring it." Homelander snarled, dropping into a fighting stance. His entire body coiled with the tension of someone who just realized he might be in actual danger for the first time in years. Saitama stepped forward and flicked Homelander in the forehead. It wasn't a punch. It wasn't even a serious strike. It was the kind of thing an annoyed person does to a younger sibling, index finger pulled back by thumb, then released in a small, sharp motion. The flick connected with Homelander's forehead with a sound like a gunshot. Homelander flew backward at approximately 200 miles per hour, hit the reinforced wall hard enough to crater it 6 feet deep, and dropped to the floor in a cloud of pulverized concrete and wounded pride. The arena went silent. Every technician stopped moving. Every monitor showed the same impossible image. Homelander, the most powerful man in the world, crumpled against a wall after being flicked like an insect. On the observation deck, the Deep made a sound between a gasp and a laugh. Black Noir tilted his head, the only sign he was surprised. Madeline Stillwell's expression remained perfectly controlled, but her knuckles were white on the railing. Homelander peeled himself out of the wall, concrete dust falling from his shoulders, his hair disheveled for perhaps the first time in public. His face was red, not from injury, because the flick hadn't actually hurt him, but from humiliation, from the profound, soul-crushing experience of being treated like a joke. "You," he started, his voice shaking with rage. "Sorry," Saitama said, and he actually did look vaguely apologetic. "You said to spar. I wasn't sure how hard to go. Should I do it softer?" Homelander's eyes blazed red again, but this time there was no control, no measured application of force. This was pure rage given thermal form. He launched himself at Saitama with everything: heat vision, super speed, strength that could juggle buses. He threw combination attacks that had taken down metahuman terrorists and demolished buildings. He fought like a god who'd just discovered mortality was possible and hated the feeling. Saitama dodged casually, his movements economical and bored. He sidestepped a punch that cratered the floor. He ducked under heat vision that carved a line through 3 walls. He blocked a flying knee with one hand. And Homelander bounced off it like he'd hit a wall. "You're fast," Saitama observed, "but you telegraph your attacks." "Shut up!" Homelander screamed, his composure completely shattered, his carefully constructed public persona abandoned in favor of pure, unfiltered violence. He grabbed Saitama in a bear hug and lifted off the ground, shooting upward through the arena's open ceiling access, through the building's superstructure, through 70 floors of corporate architecture, and out into open sky above Manhattan. Ashley Barrett stared at the Homelander-sized hole in the ceiling. "Oh my God. Oh my God. He just kidnapped our guest. He just committed assault on camera. The liability. Get me all footage from external cameras," Madeline said, her voice sharp and controlled. "And get me a helicopter. Now." Above Manhattan, at an altitude where the air was thin and cold, Homelander held Saitama in a grip that could crush steel. The city sprawled below them, tiny and vulnerable. Millions of people going about their lives completely unaware that 2 beings with the power to level neighborhoods were having a very personal conversation. "You think you're better than me?" Homelander hissed, his breath visible in the freezing air. "You think you can embarrass me in my own building? I could drop you right now. Let you fall. See if you're so tough after a 2,000-foot drop onto concrete." Saitama looked down at the city below, then back at Homelander. "I can survive falling," he said calmly. "Can you survive being wrong?" Something in that question hit harder than any physical blow. Homelander's grip loosened slightly, his expression cycling through rage and confusion, and something that might have been fear. "What? You're angry because I'm strong," Saitama continued, his voice flat and matter-of-fact. "But strength isn't why people like heroes. They like heroes because heroes save them. You're confused about which one matters more." "I save people every day," Homelander said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Do you?" Saitama asked. "Or do you save footage of yourself saving people?" Homelander's eyes blazed, and for a moment, it seemed like he might actually kill this bald man in a yellow suit who'd somehow seen through every layer of performance to the hollow thing underneath. But then something shifted, a calculation, a realization that killing Saitama here would raise questions he couldn't answer and create a mess even Vought's PR team couldn't clean. Homelander said quietly and released his grip. Saitama fell. The wind screamed past him. The city rushed up to meet him at terminal velocity. People on the ground would see it, a yellow-suited figure dropping from the sky like a meteor. Some would scream, some would film it, and Saitama, falling through thin air toward concrete death, wore the same bored expression he'd worn in the arena. 20 feet from impact, He punched downward. The force of the punch created a concussive wave that shattered windows in a 3-block radius and stopped his momentum completely. He landed on the street with a soft tap, his boots touching concrete with no more force than a normal step. Car alarms wailed. People stared. Homelander floated above, watching, his expression unreadable. Saitama looked up and waved. "Thanks for the training session," he called out. The sushi was good too. He'd never actually gotten to eat the sushi, but it seemed polite to say something nice. The aftermath of a superhuman incident in Manhattan followed a predictable pattern. Panic, then smartphones, then social media explosion, then Vaught's crisis management team scrambling to control the narrative before reality could set in. Within 6 minutes of Saitama's landing, 12 different videos were trending on Twitter. Within 8 minutes, Vaught's algorithm suppressors were fighting a losing battle against the viral spread. Within 10 minutes, Madeline Stillwell was in an emergency meeting with her executive team, while simultaneously coordinating with the mayor's office, the police commissioner, and 3 different news networks. Saitama walked back to his apartment through streets where people whispered and pointed. A teenager asked for his autograph. He signed Saitama on a napkin in handwriting that looked like a child's. An old woman asked if he was okay after falling. He said yes and thanked her for asking. A street vendor tried to charge him for a hot dog, then insisted it was free when he recognized the yellow suit. Saitama ate it while walking and considered it better than the expensive croissants. His apartment door was unlocked when he arrived, which was unusual because he specifically remembered locking it. Sitting on his couch, looking thoroughly at home in Saitama's aggressively mundane space, was Billy Butcher. He was eating cup noodles straight from the container, his feet on Saitama's coffee table, watching news coverage of the Homelander incident on Saitama's old TV. Well, Butcher said, without looking away from the screen. "Looks like someone made an impression. You broke into my apartment," Saitama observed, closing the door behind him. "Door was unlocked, mate. That's just poor security. That is..." Butcher gestured at the TV with his fork. "They're calling it the Homelander training incident. Vaught's spinning it as a controlled exercise between heroes. But every video clearly shows their golden boy getting absolutely humiliated by a bloke in a costume that cost less than his hair gel." He finally looked at Saitama, grinning wide. "You flicked him. You flicked the most powerful soupe in the world like he was a mosquito. That's poetry, that is." Saitama sat down in his chair, suddenly tired in the way that had nothing to do with physical exertion. He seemed upset. Upset? Mate, you destroyed his entire worldview. Homelander's whole thing is being the strongest, the best, the untouchable American god. You just proved he's none of those things. And you did it while looking bored. Butcher set down the noodles, leaning forward with the intensity of someone seeing opportunity crystallize. "This is it. This is the moment we've been waiting for. You've exposed him as beatable. Every soup-fearing asshole in America just watched footage of Homelander getting tossed around like a rag doll. Vaught's gonna be in crisis mode. Homelander's gonna be unstable. And you," he pointed at Saitama, "you've got leverage." "I don't want leverage," Saitama said. "I want to go grocery shopping. I'm out of eggs." Butcher stared at him, the same bewildered expression he'd worn during their first meeting. "You just embarrassed a superhuman sociopath with a god complex and a body count. He's not gonna let that go. Vaught's not gonna let that go. You're in this now, whether you want to be or not." "Can't I just apologize?" Saitama asked genuinely. "Apologize?" "To Homelander?" Butcher laughed, but it was the kind of laugh that came from a dark place. "Mate, apologies don't work on narcissists. They see it as weakness. He's gonna come after you, and when he does, it won't be in a training facility with cameras. It'll be personal, violent, and messy. Unless... He paused, thinking. Unless we give him something else to worry about. Before Saitama could ask what that meant, his flip phone rang. The chunky electronic beep echoed through the apartment. Saitama answered. Hello? Saitama. Hi. It's Ashley from Vought. Her voice was tight, professional, and barely holding together. We'd love to have you back in the office to discuss what happened today. Clear up any misunderstandings. Talk about next steps. Maybe sign some NDAs. I mean, discuss confidentiality agreements that are completely voluntary but strongly recommended. I don't think I'm interested in working with Vought, Saitama said plainly. Silence on the other end. Then Ashley's voice returned, higher pitched, faster. I completely understand your hesitation after today's training session became unexpectedly intense. But please know that Homelander is very sorry and would like to personally apologize. And we'd love to discuss alternative arrangements that don't involve any direct interaction with our premier heroes, if that makes you more comfortable. He didn't seem sorry when he dropped me, Saitama interrupted. He seemed angry. I don't think we'd work well together. More silence. Then, a new voice came on the line, smooth, controlled, feminine, and carrying the weight of someone used to getting exactly what they wanted. Saitama. This is Madeline Stillwell, Senior Vice President of Hero Management. I want to apologize personally for today's events. What happened was unprofessional and not representative of Vaught's values or standards. Okay, Saitama said. We'd very much like to make this right. Madeline continued, her tone shifting to something warmer, almost maternal. You're clearly an exceptional individual with remarkable abilities, and we believe you deserve proper support and resources. Not as part of the Seven, I understand that may not be the right fit, but perhaps as an independent hero affiliated with Vought. Your own brand, your own territory, complete autonomy. We just want to help you reach your full potential. Saitama considered this. Butcher was making frantic no gestures, shaking his head violently. What does affiliation mean? Saitama asked. It means we provide funding, legal protection, PR support, and logistics, while you maintain complete creative control over your heroic activities, Madeline explained. Think of it as a partnership rather than employment. You do what you do best, save people, and we handle everything else. No obligations, no restrictions, just support. Would I have to wear a different suit? Absolutely not. Your suit is unique, distinctive. We wouldn't change a thing. Butcher had progressed from head shaking to drawing a finger across his throat in the universal gesture for, this is a terrible idea and will end in disaster. Can I think about it? Saitama asked. Madeline's voice remained perfectly controlled, but there was an edge underneath now, sharp and cold. Of course. Take all the time you need, but Saitama, I want to be direct with you. What happened today is going to have consequences. There are people who saw that footage and are now very interested in you. Some of them work for us, some of them don't. Having Vaught's protection might be valuable in the coming days. Is that a threat? Saitama asked. Not accusatorially, just clarifying. It's a reality, Madeline replied smoothly. The world you just stepped into is complicated, dangerous, and unforgiving to those who operate alone. We're offering you a way to navigate it safely. I hope you'll consider that carefully. She hung up before he could respond. Saitama closed his flip phone and looked at Butcher. She said, I should be worried about people being interested in me. She's not wrong, Butcher admitted grudgingly. You just became the most valuable unknown quantity in the Supe world. Vought wants to own you. Homelander wants to kill you. And every 2-bit villain, rival hero, and government agency with a budget is going to want to either recruit you or eliminate you. He stood up, pacing. Which is why we need to move fast. I've got contacts, people who've been hurt by soups, people who want to see Vought burn. We can protect you, give you real allies instead of corporate handlers. I don't need protection, Saitama said. I'm pretty strong. Yeah, I've noticed. But strength don't mean shit if Vought frames you as a terrorist and turns public opinion against you. Can you punch bad PR? Can you throw a one-hitter at a smear campaign? Butcher leaned against the wall, his expression serious. They'll make you into a villain, mate. They'll edit footage, buy witnesses, fabricate evidence. And then when Homelander comes for you, it won't be murder, it'll be justice served by America's greatest hero. Saitama absorbed this information with his usual flat affect, but something flickered in his eyes, not fear, but a kind of tired recognition. He'd dealt with public perception before, in his own world, where heroes were ranked and popularity mattered, and no one believed a bald man in a cheap suit could be the strongest. So what do you want me to do? Butcher smiled, and it was the smile of someone who'd just drawn a royal flush. I want you to meet some people who can help you understand what you're up against, and then I want you to help us with something small, a gesture of goodwill between allies. What kind of gesture? There's a Vought facility in New Jersey, pharmaceutical division. They're testing a new version of Compound V on people who didn't volunteer for the privilege. Kids, mostly. Orphans, foster cases, the kind of people no one notices when they disappear. Butcher's voice had gone cold, personal. Vought knows about it. Homelander knows about it. They let it happen because the data's valuable and the victims are disposable. I want to shut it down. Free the test subjects. Make some noise. That's illegal. So is experimenting on children. Butcher shot back. But only one of those things gets prosecuted, and it ain't what Vought does. Saitama stood up, walked to his small kitchen, and opened his refrigerator. It was depressingly empty condiments, half a head of lettuce, and the eggs he'd mentioned needing. He stared into it for a long moment, thinking. In his old world, heroism was simple. You saw someone in trouble, you helped them, you went home. But here, everything was complicated by money and media and corporate interests. Helping people had terms and conditions. Saving lives had liability clauses. And apparently, being strong enough to help everyone just made you a target. He closed the refrigerator and turned to Butcher. If we free these kids, what happens to them after? I've got a network, safe houses, new identities, people who'll take them in. They'll disappear into normal lives where Vought can't find them. And you're sure there are kids being hurt? Butcher pulled out his phone, swiped through photos, then held it up. The images showed medical equipment, sterile rooms, and small figures on hospital beds with IVs and restraints. They were clinical, detached, and utterly damning. Got these from a source inside the facility. Took them 2 weeks ago. Vought's been running this operation for 6 months. Saitama looked at the photos, his expression unchanging, but his hands clenched slightly at his sides. Okay, he said quietly. I'll help, but I'm not joining your group or signing anything. I just want to help the kids. That's all I'm asking, mate, Butcher said, pocketing his phone. Help the kids. Send a message to Vought that they don't own the monopoly on heroism anymore. And maybe, just maybe, remind the world that real heroes don't need contracts. Outside, the sun was setting over Manhattan, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Somewhere in Vought Tower, Madeline Stillwell watched the same sunset through floor-to-ceiling windows while on a conference call with lawyers, PR specialists, and military contractors. Somewhere in his penthouse suite, Homelander stood in front of a mirror, staring at his reflection, looking for the cracks in his perfect facade. And somewhere in Belle Reve or Argus headquarters or whatever black site the government used for superhuman contingencies, files were being opened on a bald man in a yellow suit who'd just proven that Vought's gods could bleed. The board was set. The pieces were moving, and Saitama, who just wanted discount beef and a quiet life, was about to learn that in a world where heroism was a product, being a hero for fun was the most revolutionary thing you could be. The Vought pharmaceutical facility in Newark operated under the corporate name Vertex Wellness Solutions, which was the kind of deliberately boring name designed to make people's eyes glaze over during zoning board meetings. It occupied a repurposed industrial complex surrounded by chain-link fencing, security cameras, and the kind of neighborhood where people had learned not to ask questions about the trucks that came and went at odd hours. On paper, it researched therapeutic applications of synthetic compounds. In reality, it was where Vought tested the limits of human experimentation without the inconvenience of ethics committees or informed consent. Butcher's van, a decrepit vehicle that smelled like cigarettes and revenge, was parked 3 blocks away in the shadow of an abandoned warehouse. Inside, Butcher sat with Huey Campbell, Mother's Milk, and Frenchie, studying blueprints on a laptop screen that had been acquired through methods that would make IT security professionals weep. Saitama sat in the back, eating a convenience store sandwich, looking at the group with polite confusion about why they were making this so complicated. "Right, here's the play," Butcher said, pointing at the screen. Facility's got 3 entry points: main entrance with security checkpoint, loading dock with card access, and emergency exit with alarm system. Security's tight but not military grade. 12 guards on rotation, all armed, all trained. Inside, we've got 3 floors. Ground floor is admin and reception. Second floor is testing labs. Third floor is where they keep the subjects, our kids. "How many kids?" Saitama asked. Mother's Milk checked his notes, his expression grim. "Intelligence says 14. Ages 6 to 15. All taken from state custody through falsified adoption paperwork. Vaught's been dosing them with experimental compound V variants for 6 months, tracking responses, side effects, and mortality rates." "Mortality rates," Huey repeated quietly, his voice tight. "They're tracking how many kids die." "Oh, Parter, welcome to corporate heroism, petite Huey," Frenchie said, his accent thick and his anger barely controlled. "Where children are data points and murder is research and development." Saitama set down his sandwich, his expression still flat but something different in his eyes, now a focus, a clarity that hadn't been there before. "So we go in, get the kids, leave. What's complicated about that?" "What's complicated is not getting everyone killed in the process," Mother's Milk said. "Those guards have automatic weapons. They see us coming, they lock down the facility, call for backup, and we're trapped inside with hostages. We need stealth, coordination, and a plan that doesn't end with a SWAT team turning this into a massacre. Or," Butcher said, looking at Saitama with the expression of someone about to make a terrible decision that felt absolutely right, "we skip the stealth and let our new friend here make an entrance that's so loud and so fast that security doesn't have time to coordinate a response." "You want him to just walk through the front door?" Huey asked incredulously. "I want him to walk through the fucking wall," Butcher corrected. "Draw all attention to himself while we slip in through the loading dock and extract the kids. By the time security figures out what's happening, we're gone, and our bald friend here has made sure they're too busy shitting themselves to follow." Saitama considered this. "You want me to be a distraction. I want you to be a natural disaster in human form," Butcher said. "Probably," Saitama said, standing up and stretching. "But I'm not killing anyone. The guards are just doing their jobs. They might not even know what's really happening inside." Mother's Milk looked at Butcher. Butcher looked at Frenchie. Frenchie shrugged in the universal gesture of, "Your crazy plan, your responsibility." Huey just looked terrified, which was his default state. "Fine," Butcher said finally. "No killing, but you make enough noise that every guard in that building is focused on you and not on us. Can you do that?" "Yes," Saitama said simply, heading toward the van's back doors. "When do we start?" "Give us 5 minutes to get in position," Butcher said. "Then make your entrance. And Saitama, make it memorable." Saitama walked toward the facility through streets empty of witnesses, his yellow suit bright under sodium streetlights, his cape fluttering in the industrial wind that smelled like chemicals and decay. He'd done this before, walked toward danger, toward people who needed help, toward situations that required someone stronger than circumstances. But this felt different. This wasn't a monster or a natural disaster or some cosmic threat. This was humans hurting other humans deliberately, methodically, for profit. It made him feel something he rarely felt anymore. Not anger exactly, but a kind of focused displeasure that came close. The facility's exterior was concrete and steel, functional and fortified. Cameras tracked his approach. Somewhere inside, an alert was being raised. Saitama stopped 10 feet from the main entrance, looking at the reinforced door. The security checkpoint visible through bulletproof glass, the guards scrambling to assess the threat level of a man in what appeared to be a cosplay outfit. He pulled back his fist and punched the wall. The entire front facade of the building exploded inward in a tsunami of pulverized concrete, twisted rebar, and shattered infrastructure. The sound was apocalyptic, a thunderclap of destruction that set off car alarms 6 blocks away and registered on seismographs at the local university as a minor earthquake. When the dust cleared, there was a hole 40 feet wide where the entrance used to be. And Saitama stood in the center of it, looking at the security guards who'd been knocked flat by the shockwave. "Hi," Saitama said. "I'm here about the kids." The guards, to their credit, responded professionally despite the fact that their entire understanding of structural integrity had just been violently revised. They opened fire with automatic weapons, filling the air with gunfire and the acrid smell of spent ammunition. Bullets hit Saitama like rain hitting pavement, making contact, having zero effect, bouncing off to embed themselves in walls and furniture. Saitama walked forward through the barrage, his expression mildly concerned. "Please stop shooting," he said. "You're going to hurt someone." One guard, braver or more stupid than the others, charged at Saitama with a baton. Saitama caught the baton mid-swing, plucked it gently from the guard's hands, and tapped him on the helmet. The guard crumpled, unconscious but alive. "Sorry," Saitama said to the remaining guards. "I'm trying to be careful." In the chaos of gunfire and destruction, Butcher's team slipped through the loading dock like ghosts. Huey's hands were shaking so badly he nearly dropped the keycard they'd cloned from a stolen employee badge. Mother's Milk took point, his military training kicking in, his movements precise and silent. Frenchie handled the electronic locks with practiced ease, his fingers dancing across security panels that should have been impenetrable. They moved through corridors painted institutional white, past rooms labeled with clinical designations that hid human suffering behind medical terminology. The holding area was on the 3rd floor, accessed through a reinforced door that required biometric authentication. Frenchie bypassed it in 90 seconds, using a severed finger from the facility's biomedical waste that he'd acquired during reconnaissance and kept in a cooler that no one wanted to discuss. The door opened to reveal a corridor lined with rooms, each one containing a small figure on a medical bed, connected to IVs and monitors. Sedated, but alive. "Christ," Mother's Milk whispered, his voice breaking slightly. "Not anymore. They're not," Butcher said grimly, moving from room to room, checking vitals, disconnecting IVs. "They're fucking survivors. Huey, Start prepping them for transport. Frenchie, disable the monitoring systems. We've got maybe 3 minutes before security upstairs gets organized enough to remember we exist. Downstairs, Saitama had progressed to the second floor by the simple expedient of punching a hole through the ceiling and jumping up. He stood now in what appeared to be the main laboratory, a space filled with equipment that probably cost more than most people earned in a lifetime, staffed by scientists in white coats, who looked at him with expressions ranging from terror to fascination. On the walls were charts tracking test subjects by number rather than name, graphs showing compound efficacy rates and mortality percentages, photos of children with their faces redacted and their suffering documented in clinical detail. Saitama looked at it all, his expression darkening. "You're supposed to help people." One scientist, older than the others, found his voice. "You don't understand. This research is essential. The applications of perfected Compound V could save millions. By killing kids?" Saitama interrupted, and for the first time since entering this world, his voice carried an edge. "You're torturing children for data. That's not science. That's not helping. That's just being evil. And using big words to pretend it's not. We have authorization," the scientist insisted, his voice wavering. "Vought International approved every protocol. The government knows. The oversight committees don't care." Saitama finished. "Yeah, I'm starting to understand how this works." He walked to the wall of data, to the charts and graphs that reduced human suffering to statistics, and punched through it. The entire wall collapsed, taking computers and servers and irreplaceable research with it into rubble. "You should leave," Saitama said to the scientists. "Before I decide you're as bad as the guards." They ran. All of them, abandoning their research, their data, their careers, fleeing from a man who just demonstrated that ethical lines enforced by paperwork meant nothing to someone who enforced them with fists. Saitama stood alone in the ruined laboratory, surrounded by destroyed equipment and fallen research, and felt a profound sense of satisfaction that he hadn't experienced in a long time. This was what heroism should feel like. Not performance art for cameras, not corporate-approved rescue operations, but direct action against direct harm. On the third floor, Butcher's team had gathered all 14 children in the corridor. Most were still sedated, carried by Mother's Milk and Huey in firemen's carries. A few were conscious enough to walk, their eyes wide and confused, and traumatized in ways that would require years of therapy to even begin addressing. Frenchie had disabled the alarm systems and wiped the security footage, buying them precious time. "We're clear," Butcher said into his radio. "Packages secured. Time to leave." "Roger that," Saitama replied, though he had no radio and didn't know what Roger meant in this context. He'd just heard people say it in movies, and it seemed appropriate. They converged at the loading dock Butcher's team with their precious cargo. Saitama, with his yellow suit covered in concrete dust but otherwise pristine. The van was waiting, engine running, driven by Kimiko, who'd been providing overwatch and was signing frantically about emergency vehicles approaching. "Time's up," Butcher said, loading kids into the van with practiced efficiency born from too many desperate extractions. "We need to be ghosts before Vought's cleanup crew arrives." Saitama looked back at the facility, at the destruction he'd caused, at the building that had hidden atrocities behind corporate paperwork. What about the records? The evidence? Already handled. Frenchie said, holding up a hard drive. "Everything they did, everyone involved, every authorization signature, copied and backed up in 17 locations. When we're ready, we release it all." "Why not now?" Saitama asked. Butcher climbed into the van, looking at Saitama with something approaching respect. "Because timing matters. Mate, release it now, and Vought buries it under misinformation and legal threats before anyone notices. Release it at the right moment. Say, Right after their golden boy has a very public breakdown, and it becomes part of a pattern, becomes impossible to ignore. He gestured to the van. You coming or walking? I'll walk, Saitama said. Course you do, Butcher said, grinning. Bald weirdo. But you did good tonight. You saved lives that no one else gave a shit about. That's real heroism right there. The van pulled away, disappearing into Newark's industrial maze, with its cargo of rescued children and stolen evidence. Saitama stood alone in the shadow of the ruined facility, listening to sirens grow closer, and felt something he hadn't felt since arriving in this strange world purpose. Not the empty purpose of one-punch victories over meaningless threats, but the meaningful purpose of helping people who actually needed help, who couldn't save themselves, who'd been forgotten by systems designed to protect them. He started walking back toward Manhattan, his hands in his pockets, his cape fluttering behind him. Vought International was about to discover what happened when their carefully constructed empire of controlled heroism encountered someone who didn't play by their rules. And somewhere in his penthouse, Homelander was about to learn that being embarrassed was just the beginning of his problems. The emergency board meeting at Vought Tower convened at 3 in the morning, which was the hour when corporate disasters demanded immediate damage control. And executives discovered that power came with the cost of sleep deprivation. The conference room was filled with people who collectively earned more in a year than most small nations' GDP, and every single one of them looked at the tablet screens, showing Newark facility footage, with expressions ranging from fury to terror. Madeline Stillwell stood at the head of the table, her power suit immaculate despite the hour, her composure a weapon she wielded with surgical precision. So, let me make sure I understand the situation correctly, she said, her voice dangerously calm. Our pharmaceutical research facility was destroyed by a single individual. 14 test subjects were extracted by unknown operatives, approximately $40 million in equipment, and research data was obliterated. And we have absolutely zero actionable intelligence on who coordinated this attack beyond footage of our new friend in the yellow suit punching through walls. The bold soupe from the highway incident, Ashley Barrett confirmed, her voice shaking slightly. Facial recognition confirms it's the same individual who engaged Homelander in training yesterday. Saitama. Just Saitama, Madeline corrected coldly. No last name, no records, no social security number, no digital footprint beyond grocery store loyalty cards. A ghost who can level buildings and apparently has developed a moral objection to our research practices. She looked around the table. Options. Someone give me options that don't involve explaining to shareholders why our stock price is about to drop 15%. Stan Edgar, CEO of Vought International, and the only person in the room who looked genuinely unbothered by the crisis, leaned back in his chair with the relaxed confidence of someone who'd navigated worse disasters. We have 3 plays, he said, his voice measured and analytical. 1. We frame this as domestic terrorism, paint Saitama as a radical anti-Supi extremist, and leverage Homelander to hunt him down publicly. Good for PR. Bad for liability if Homelander loses again on camera. 2. We negotiate. Find out what Saitama wants, what motivates him, and bring him into the fold through incentives rather than force. Risky, but potentially profitable if he's controllable. 3. We disappear him. No press, no drama, no footage. Just a comprehensive Black Ops solution that removes him from the equation permanently. He survived Homelander's heat vision, Madeline pointed out. What makes you think Black Ops can handle what our most powerful asset couldn't? Because Homelander fought him like a brawler having a tantrum, Stan replied. Saitama may be physically invulnerable, but everyone has weaknesses. Psychological pressure points, people they care about, leverage we can exploit. He pulled up a file on the central screen, photos of Saitama's apartment, his grocery shopping patterns, his aggressively mundane life. This man has no armor except his body. He's isolated, friendless, living in poverty despite powers that could let him rule. That suggests either profound stupidity or profound principle. Either way, it's a vulnerability we can manipulate. Across the city, in a safe house that smelled like disinfectant and instant coffee, the 14 rescued children slept under sedation while medical professionals who'd spent careers treating Vogt's victims worked to stabilize them. Butcher sat in the kitchen, drinking whiskey straight from the bottle, watching security monitors that showed every approach to the building. Mother's Milk was coordinating with contacts to arrange new identities. Frenchie was cataloging the evidence they'd stolen, building an airtight case that would burn Vogt's pharmaceutical division to the ground when the time was right. Huey sat with one of the kids who'd woken up, a girl maybe 10 years old, with eyes too old for her age and scars on her arms from repeated IV insertions. She wasn't speaking, just staring at the wall with the 1,000-yard stare of someone who'd learned that adults couldn't be trusted and safety was temporary. "You're safe now," Huey said quietly, knowing the words were hollow but needing to say them anyway. "We're not going to let them take you back." The girl looked at him, and her voice when she spoke was small and fractured. "The man in yellow, is he real?" "Yeah," Huey said. "He's real. He came to help. Why?" she asked, and the question carried the weight of someone who'd learned that help always came with conditions. That kindness was a transaction, that heroes on TV were lies told to children who didn't know better. Huey didn't have a good answer. He'd asked himself the same question about Saitama. Why would someone that powerful care about kids in a black site facility? Why risk Vogt's wrath for people who had no ability to pay him back, no influence to offer, no strategic value? "I think," Huey said slowly, "he just wanted to help. No reason beyond that. Just because it was right." The girl processed this, her young mind trying to reconcile the concept of altruism with her experiences of a world that had shown her only cruelty, disguised as care. "Will he come back?" she asked. "I don't know," Huey admitted. "But he made sure you got out. That's something." In his apartment, Saitama sat on his couch, eating leftover Chinese food and watching the news. The Newark incident was the lead story on every channel, though the details varied wildly depending on which network was reporting. Some called it terrorism. Some called it vigilante justice. One particularly creative outlet was calling it a meta-human turf war between rogue elements and Vogt's security infrastructure. None of them mentioned the children. None of them questioned what a pharmaceutical facility needed, with armed guards and reinforced cells. The narrative was being controlled, shaped, laundered through corporate PR, until the truth became just another opinion, competing in the marketplace of ideas. His flip phone rang. Saitama answered, expecting Butcher or maybe Ashley with another recruitment pitch. Instead, the voice on the other end was smooth, male, and carried the kind of artificial friendliness that immediately set off warning bells. "Hello, Saitama. My name is Stan Edgar. I'm the CEO of Vogt International, and I think it's time we had a conversation. How did you get this number?" Saitama asked. "We're a multinational corporation with extensive resources," Stan replied. "Finding a phone number is considerably easier than, say, finding someone with no digital footprint who can punch through reinforced concrete. But I'm not calling to impress you with our research capabilities. I'm calling because what happened in Newark tonight is going to have consequences. And I'd prefer those consequences benefit us both, rather than becoming mutually destructive." "I freed kids you were torturing," Saitama said flatly. "I don't think we can both benefit from that." Stan chuckled a warm, practice sound that had been deployed in boardrooms and backrooms to disarm opponents. You think we were torturing children. I understand how the optics appear damning, but what you interrupted was cutting-edge research that could have revolutionized medical treatment for thousands. Those children were volunteers. They were 6 years old, Saitama interrupted. 6-year-olds can't volunteer for medical experiments. They were prisoners. They were wards of the state with no family, no future, no prospects. Stan corrected, his voice never losing its measured calm. We gave them purpose. We gave them the potential to contribute to something larger than their tragic circumstances. Yes, the process was difficult. Yes, there were risks. But progress always comes with sacrifice. And those children were sacrificing for a greater good. Saitama set down his Chinese food, his expression hardening. You're trying to make me feel bad for stopping you. I'm trying to make you understand complexity, Stan said. The world isn't heroes and villains, Saitama. It's people making difficult choices with imperfect information. You see yourself as righteous, and perhaps you are. But righteousness without strategy is just noise. You saved 14 children tonight. Congratulations. But Vought employs 50,000 people, provides superhuman security to 200 cities, and generates innovations that improve millions of lives. By attacking us, you're not fighting evil. You're fighting infrastructure. And infrastructure always wins, because it's too big to fail. Then I'll punch it until it gets smaller. Saitama said simply. The line went quiet for a moment. When Stan spoke again, there was something different in his voice. Not anger, but genuine curiosity. You actually believe that, don't you? You think you can just hit the problem until it goes away. It's almost admirable in its naivety. He paused. Let me offer you an alternative perspective. Work with us, not for us, with us. Help us reform from within. Bring your principles, your moral clarity, your extraordinary abilities, and channel them through Vought's infrastructure to do actual, measurable good. We can establish oversight committees, implement ethical guidelines, create transparency, but only if you're inside the tent instead of outside throwing stones. I don't trust you, Saitama said. Smart. Stan acknowledged. You shouldn't. Trust is earned, not given. So let me earn it. Come to a meeting. Bring whoever you want as witnesses. Butcher. If you're working with him, yes. We know about Butcher. Bring him along. Let's discuss terms like reasonable people, instead of escalating into a conflict that ends with collateral damage neither of us wants. Saitama considered this. The Chinese food was getting cold again. The news was showing footage of the Newark facility's destroyed facade on loop. Somewhere in this city, 14 kids were safe because he'd punched through walls and ignored corporate authority. But Stan Edgar was right about one thing: he'd saved 14 kids. But how many more were in other facilities, other black sites, other places where Vought's carefully maintained image hid atrocities? If I meet with you, and I don't like what you say, I'm leaving. And if I find more places like Newark, I'm destroying them too. Fair terms, Stan said. Tomorrow, noon, Vought Tower, Executive Conference Room. We'll have lunch brought in. I believe you appreciate good catering. He hung up before Saitama could respond. Saitama sat in his apartment, surrounded by the detritus of his aggressively normal life, and felt the weight of something he'd tried to avoid: complexity. In his old world, heroism was simple. Monsters attacked, heroes responded, problems got solved with sufficient force. But here, the monsters wore suits and filed quarterly reports. The problems were systemic, institutional, protected by lawyers and public relations, and the kind of power that didn't care about punches. He could destroy buildings, But could he destroy the ideas that built them? Could he punch through corporate culture, through carefully constructed narratives, through the machinery of an empire that had convinced America it needed to buy its heroes like any other product? His phone rang again. This time it was Butcher. "Oi! Just got word through the grapevine that Stan fucking Edgar called you. Please tell me you told him to shove his offer up his corporate asshole." "He wants to meet tomorrow," Saitama said. "He said I could bring you." Butcher was silent for a long moment. Then, "That's either the best news I've heard all year, or the beginning of an ambush so comprehensive they'll be finding pieces of us in 6 different states. Probably both." Another pause. "You actually gonna go?" "I think so," Saitama said. "He said there might be other facilities, other kids. If I can stop more of that by talking instead of punching, shouldn't I try? Mate? Men like Stan Edgar don't negotiate in good faith. They negotiate to buy time, to gather intelligence, to find weaknesses. You walk into that meeting, you're giving him everything he needs to destroy you." Butcher's voice softened slightly. "But you already know that, don't you? And you're gonna go anyway because you're a genuine, honest-to-God idiot who thinks the best in people even when they've proven there's nothing best to find. Is that bad?" Saitama asked. "It's gonna get you killed," Butcher said. "Or worse, it's gonna get you co-opted, turned into another Vought product with a better marketing strategy. But fuck it, I'll go with you. Someone needs to watch your back when this goes sideways. And Saitama, when not if, when it goes sideways, you punch first and ask questions. Never. Understood?" "Understood," Saitama said, though he had no intention of following that advice. He hung up, finished his cold Chinese food, and went to bed in his aggressively normal apartment, in his aggressively normal life that was rapidly becoming anything but normal. Tomorrow he'd meet with the CEO of a corporation that experimented on children and called it research. Tomorrow he'd walk into the heart of an empire built on lies and see if talking could accomplish what punching couldn't. Tomorrow he'd find out if there was any part of this world's heroism industry that could be salvaged, or if it all needed to be torn down and rebuilt from scratch. But tonight, he just slept. And in his dreams, he was back in his old world, where being strong was enough, where heroism was simple, where monsters were honest about being monsters and didn't hide behind spreadsheets and shareholder value and the grotesque machinery of legitimized evil. He missed it. God help him. He missed it so much. The executive conference room on Vought Tower's 99th floor was designed to intimidate through luxury rather than force. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a view of Manhattan that reduced the city to a map of influence and capital. The table was imported marble that cost more than the average American home. The chairs were ergonomic masterpieces, tested by orthopedic specialists. Even the air smelled expensive, filtered, temperature-controlled, carrying the faint scent of whatever cologne billionaires wore to meetings where they decided the fates of millions. Saitama sat in one of these chairs wearing his yellow suit, his cape draped over the backrest, looking profoundly out of place in the way a dandelion looks out of place in a carefully manicured garden. Beside him, Billy Butcher wore a black coat that had seen better decades, and an expression that suggested he was mentally cataloging every exit and calculating how many people he could kill on the way out. Across the table sat Stan Edgar, CEO of Vought International, dressed in a suit that cost what Saitama paid in rent for 6 months, his expression calm and analytical. Between them sat lunch catered by a restaurant Saitama had never heard of, plated with artistic precision and probably containing ingredients he couldn't pronounce. Saitama ate his salmon with the methodical efficiency of someone who appreciated food but didn't mistake it for a negotiating tactic. Butcher hadn't touched his plate, too busy staring at Stan Edgar like a man staring at the source of every trauma he'd ever experienced. "Thank you for coming," Stan began, his voice carrying the practiced warmth of someone who'd learned to weaponize civility. "I know trust is in short supply, especially given recent events. But I believe productive dialogue is possible, even between parties, with conflicting interests. Cut the corporate horseshit, Butcher interrupted. We all know why we're here. You want to figure out if the bald lad is controllable, and if he's not, you want to gather enough intel to neutralize him. So let's skip the performative respect and get to the part where you make threats disguised as offers. Stan's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Amusement, maybe, or recognition of a worthy opponent. Direct. I appreciate that. Very well, Mr. Butcher. Let me be equally direct. Saitama represents an unprecedented variable in a carefully balanced ecosystem. His abilities exceed anything in our current roster, including Homelander. His moral framework appears genuine rather than calculated, and his complete lack of interest in money, fame, or power makes him immune to our standard incentive structures. That makes him either the most valuable asset we could acquire or the most dangerous threat we could face. And you want to know which one? Saitama said, setting down his fork. I want to propose a third option. Stan replied. Neither asset nor threat, but partner. Vought has resources you need. Intelligence networks that can identify problems like Newark before they metastasize. Legal infrastructure that can protect the children you rescued from being recaptured by the state. Political connections that can reform the systems, allowing these abuses. You have something we need: credibility. Authentic heroism in a market increasingly skeptical of manufactured narratives. Together, we could accomplish more than either could alone. You want to use him as a PR face, Butcher said. Slap his bald head on some posters. Make him the poster boy for Vought's Reformation campaign, and pretend you've suddenly developed ethics. I want to offer him influence, Stan corrected. A seat at the table where decisions are made. Oversight authority on all research programs. Veto power on operations he finds ethically problematic. In exchange, he operates under Vought's umbrella, provides consulting on hero operations, and helps us rebuild public trust. He looked directly at Saitama. You can't punch systemic problems, Saitama, but you can change them from within if you have sufficient leverage. I'm offering you that leverage. Saitama chewed slowly, thinking. The salmon was good, better than his usual grocery store fare, though not enough better to justify whatever astronomical price it probably cost. What about Homelander? He asked. The question hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. Stan's expression remained neutral, but Butcher grinned like a man who just watched someone step on a landmine. What about him? Stan asked carefully. He's dangerous, Saitama said simply. Not because he's strong, but because he doesn't care about people. He cares about being loved by people. That's different. And when he doesn't get what he wants, he hurts them. Saitama looked out the window at the city below. I've met a lot of strong people. Some of them were good, some of them weren't. But the ones who needed everyone to worship them, they were always the most dangerous because they couldn't handle being wrong. Stan Edgar, who'd spent years managing Homelander's psychosis while maintaining shareholder value, found himself experiencing the rare sensation of being genuinely impressed. That's a remarkably astute psychological assessment. It's obvious, Saitama said. He's like a kid who got too much power before learning how to be a person. And you let him stay that way because he makes you money. We manage him, Stan said. And for the first time, there was an edge in his voice. Homelander is a complex asset, requiring careful handling. Yes, he's volatile. Yes, he's narcissistic. Yes, he's killed people when his control slipped. But he's also saved thousands, prevented disasters, and served as a symbol that keeps America feeling safe. The calculus isn't simple. Sounds simple to me, Saitama said. He's a bad person with powers. You should stop him. With what? Stan asked, leaning forward. Another soup? We tried that. He killed them. Legal prosecution? He's protected by 50 layers of corporate liability and government contracts. Public exposure? We've managed 3 separate incidents where he murdered civilians, and his approval ratings barely dropped because people don't want to believe their hero is a monster. He paused, studying Saitama. You're the first person I've met who could actually stop him. Which brings us back to partnership. Work with us, and we'll give you the authority to do what we've been unable to retire. Homelander, replace him with someone better, and transition the public to a new model of heroism, one that's actually heroic. Butcher laughed a bitter, broken sound. You're offering him Homelander's head on a platter. Christ, you really are desperate. I'm offering him the opportunity to solve a problem that endangers millions, Stan corrected. Homelander's instability is escalating. His God complex is metastasizing. Eventually, maybe next month, maybe next year, he's going to snap in a way we can't contain. When that happens, the death toll could be catastrophic, unless someone stops him first. Someone strong enough, principled enough, and foolish enough to care more about doing right than surviving the consequences. Saitama looked at Stan Edgar, at this man in his expensive suit with his calculated compassion and his corporate frameworks for managing human suffering. Then he looked at Butcher, who sat rigid with barely contained fury, wanting to flip the table and start killing but holding back because Saitama had asked him to. Finally, he looked out the window at Manhattan at millions of people going about their lives, unaware that their safety rested on the unstable shoulders of a superhuman sociopath who could turn on them any moment. I'll stop Homelander if he needs stopping, Saitama said. But I'm not joining Vought. I'm not signing contracts or sitting on committees or becoming part of your infrastructure. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing, helping people when they need help. And if that means punching through your buildings when you're hurting people, I'll do that too. Stan's expression shifted, still calm, still controlled, but with an undercurrent of something harder now. That's disappointing. I was hoping we could avoid the alternative scenario. Which is? Butcher asked, his hand drifting toward the inside of his coat where he probably had a weapon that would be completely useless against anyone in this room but made him feel better. Mutually assured destruction, Stan said simply. If Saitama continues to operate as an unaffiliated hostile force attacking Vought interests, we'll be forced to respond. Not with Homelander, he's proven ineffective, but with comprehensive asymmetric warfare. We'll destroy your reputation, Saitama. Frame you as a terrorist working with known extremist Billy Butcher. We'll fabricate evidence linking you to attacks you didn't commit. We'll find people you care about and make their lives difficult. We have the resources, the media control, and the legal infrastructure to turn you into the villain in the public consciousness, even if you're the hero in reality. I don't care what people think about me, Saitama said. Everyone cares, Stan countered. Maybe not about fame or popularity, but about being able to help. And we can make it impossible for you to help. We can make sure every person you save sues you for property damage. We can have you arrested on fabricated charges every time you try to act. We can turn your heroism into a legal nightmare that helps no one and wastes everyone's time. That's the power of infrastructure. Saitama, we don't have to beat you. We just have to make you irrelevant. The room went very quiet. Outside, the city hummed with oblivious life. Inside, 3 people sat at a marble table, navigating the gap between power and principle, between what was possible and what was right. Saitama looked at his empty plate, at the remnants of his expensive lunch, and felt tired in a way that had nothing to do with physical exertion. So those are my options, he said finally. Join you and compromise what I believe, or fight you and watch you hurt innocent people to get to me. Those are the realistic options, Stan confirmed. Unless you have a third alternative. Saitama stood up, his chair scraping against polished floor. I do. I keep helping people. And when you try to stop me, your legal systems, your PR campaigns, your infrastructure, I'll ignore all of it and just keep doing what's right. Maybe you'll win eventually. Maybe you'll make me a villain. But every day until then, I'll still be saving people you're willing to sacrifice for quarterly profits. He walked toward the door. Butcher followed, grinning like a man who'd just witnessed something beautiful and terrible. At the doorway, Saitama paused and looked back at Stan Edgar. "You're smart," Saitama said. "You understand people and systems and how to manipulate both. But you've forgotten something important." "What's that?" Stan asked, genuinely curious. "Heroes don't need permission," Saitama said simply, and walked out. The door closed behind them. Stan Edgar sat alone in his conference room, surrounded by the trappings of his power, and allowed himself a small smile. "Interesting," he said to the empty room. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. "This is Edgar. Initiate protocol Red Crown. Authorization Alpha 77. Yes, full deployment. Target is Saitama. Last seen exiting Vought Tower. Priority is capture and containment. Lethal force. Authorized if containment fails. And contact our assets at the Pentagon. I want military consultation on asymmetric suppression of super durability threats." He hung up and returned to his lunch, cutting a precise piece of salmon. The food was still warm. The view was still spectacular. And somewhere below, a man in a yellow suit was about to discover that refusing Vaught's partnership came with consequences that even invulnerability couldn't protect against. In the elevator, Butcher looked at Saitama with something approaching respect. "That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever seen. Probably both. You just made an enemy of the most powerful corporation in America." "I've made enemies before," Saitama said. "Not like this." "You haven't," Butcher replied. "Stan Edgar. Don't do threats. He does comprehensive strategic destruction of everything you care about. He's gonna come at you from angles you didn't know existed, and he won't stop until you're neutralized or dead." The elevator doors opened to the lobby. Saitama walked through it, past security guards who watched him with newly hostile eyes, past cameras that tracked his movement with algorithmic precision, past civilians who didn't know they were looking at the man who just declared war on their heroes. "Then I'll deal with it when it happens," Saitama said. "Right now, I'm going grocery shopping. The Tuesday sale ends at 5, and I need eggs." Butcher stared at him, laughed, and shook his head. "You're gonna get us all killed, you magnificent bald bastard. But fuck me if it won't be interesting watching you try to punch your way through capitalism." They walked out of Vought Tower into afternoon sunlight, unaware that 6 blocks away, 3 black SUVs were coordinating intercept vectors, that 12 enhanced operatives were being briefed on target suppression protocols, and that somewhere in a Pentagon basement, a general was opening a file marked Contingency Planning. Super durable. Threat. Neutralization. The war had begun. And Saitama just wanted eggs. The ambush came 3 blocks from Vought Tower, which was either arrogance or strategy close enough to their territory to deploy quickly, public enough that civilian casualties would constrain Saitama's response, timed perfectly to catch him in the open before he could disappear into the subway system. The black SUVs boxed him in from 3 directions while pedestrians scattered, and someone with good instincts started screaming about getting away from the windows. Saitama stopped walking, hands in his pockets, watching 12 figures emerge from the vehicles. They wore tactical gear that looked military but moved with the enhanced coordination of people who'd been dosed with Compound V. Their weapons weren't standard issue, some kind of energy projection system that hummed with barely contained power, probably designed by Vaught's R&D division, specifically for super durable targets. The team leader, a woman with silver hair and eyes that glowed faintly blue, approached with her weapon trained on Saitama's center mass. "Saitama," she said, her voice amplified by helmet speakers. "You're under citizen's arrest for destruction of private property, assault on security personnel, and suspected terrorism. Surrender peacefully and you'll be treated fairly under the law." Butcher, who'd been walking beside Saitama, burst out laughing. "Citizen's arrest? That's what we're calling corporate hit squads now? Fucking hell. At least have the decency to admit you're here to disappear him, sir." "Step away from the target," the team leader said to Butcher. "This doesn't concern you." "Everything concerning this bald weirdo concerns me, love," Butcher replied, not moving. "I'm his emotional support asshole. Where he goes, I go." Saitama looked at the tactical team, at their expensive gear and enhanced physiology, at the weapons designed specifically to hurt things that couldn't normally be hurt. "I don't want to fight you," he said simply. "You're probably just doing your jobs. But I'm not surrendering because I didn't do anything wrong." "Newark facility," the team leader countered. 40 million in damages, federal property destruction, theft of proprietary research materials. You want to claim innocence? "I freed kids you were experimenting on," Saitama said. "That's not terrorism. That's just being decent." The team leader's finger tensed on the trigger. Around them, the street had emptied except for the brave or stupid civilians filming from behind cars and in building doorways. Because in 2024, the instinct to record trumped the instinct for self-preservation. "Last chance," she said. "Hands up. On your knees, or we drop you here." "You can't drop me," Saitama said, not boasting, just stating fact. "Your weapons won't work. Your powers won't work. You're going to waste a lot of time and probably hurt innocent people trying, and then I'm going to have to stop you without hurting you too badly, and it's going to be inconvenient for everyone." "Arrogant," the team leader muttered, and opened fire. The energy weapons discharged with sounds like thunder compressed into microseconds. 12 beams of concentrated force, some kind of particle acceleration technology that should have been theoretically impossible, converged on Saitama from multiple angles. The impact was apocalyptic, a sphere of destructive energy that vaporized concrete, shattered windows, and set off every car alarm in a 4-block radius. The light was blinding, the sound was deafening. When it cleared, there was a crater 6 feet deep where Saitama had been standing. Butcher had thrown himself behind a mailbox, covering his head, cursing extensively in what might have been English or might have been pure profanity achieving linguistic transcendence. Civilians were screaming, cameras were still recording, and from the crater, completely unharmed, Saitama climbed out, brushing dust from his yellow suit. "Told you," he said. The tactical team stared. One of them, a younger operative with enhanced strength evident in his oversized frame, broke formation and charged at Saitama with a roar that was part intimidation, part terror. He threw a punch that could have caved in a tank. Saitama caught it with one hand, looking almost apologetic. "Please don't make me hurt you," Saitama said. "I really don't want to." The operative tried to pull his fist back. It didn't move. He tried to activate what appeared to be a secondary power. His skin began glowing red with thermal energy, the air around him shimmering with heat. Saitama's hand didn't even warm up. "Let go," the operative screamed, panic replacing bravado. "Okay," Saitama said, and released him. The operative stumbled backward, crashed into one of the SUVs, and lay still, not unconscious, just experiencing the profound psychological shock of encountering something that rendered all his training and enhancements completely meaningless. The team leader made a hand signal. The remaining operatives spread out, trying to create crossfire angles, but Saitama just stood in his crater looking patient and slightly bored. "Listen," he said, his voice carrying across the street without needing amplification. "I understand you work for Vought. I understand you probably need this job, but I'm not your enemy. Your bosses are lying to you about what happened in Newark. They're using you to protect their ability to hurt kids. You don't have to help them do that. Psychological warfare, the team leader said into her comm. Target is attempting manipulation. All units engage at range. Suppressing fire pattern Delta. They opened fire again, this time with conventional weapons mixed with energy discharge, creating a wall of destruction that would have shredded anything organic. Saitama walked through it like someone walking through rain, occasionally tilting his head to avoid hitting civilians behind him with ricochets. He reached the nearest operative, a man with enhanced speed who'd been trying to flank him, and tapped him gently on the shoulder. The operative flinched, realized he wasn't dead, and then fainted from pure stress. "You're making this worse," Saitama said to the team leader, who was now backing away while maintaining fire, her weapon overheating in her hands. "Just stop shooting and we can talk about this. No negotiation with terrorists," she said. But her voice was shaking now. Saitama sighed. He moved not at super speed, just at a brisk walk, and collected the weapons from each operative, plucking them from their hands with the gentle efficiency of someone taking dangerous toys from children. He piled them in the middle of the street, then punched the pile once. The weapons exploded into component pieces, rendered permanently inoperable. "There," he said. "Now we can talk without anyone getting hurt." The tactical team stood disarmed and defeated, their expensive gear useless, their enhanced abilities meaningless against someone who existed outside the normal parameters of power scaling. The team leader removed her helmet, and underneath was a face younger than expected, maybe 30, with the hard eyes of someone who'd seen combat, but the trembling hands of someone confronting their own mortality. "What are you?" she whispered. "Just a guy who's a hero for fun," Saitama replied. Then his expression shifted, something harder entering his voice. "But I need you to tell whoever sent you something. Tell them that sending people to attack me just means I hurt those people. Tell them that if they want to stop me, they should stop doing things that need stopping. Tell them that I'm not going away, and neither are the people helping me. And every resource they waste trying to control me is a resource they're not using to hurt anyone else." Sirens were approaching actual police this time, not corporate enforcers. Butcher emerged from behind his mailbox, dusting himself off. "Time to go, mate. Real cops show up. This becomes a jurisdictional nightmare." "What about them?" Saitama gestured to the tactical team. "They'll be fine. Vought takes care of its assets. And these poor bastards just learned a valuable lesson about picking fights with invulnerable, bald men." Butcher grabbed Saitama's arm, pulling him toward an alley. "Come on." Before someone decides to escalate further, they disappeared into Manhattan's urban maze, leaving behind a street that looked like a war zone and a tactical team that would need extensive psychological counseling and possibly new careers. The team leader sat on the curb, staring at her empty hands, and made a decision. She pulled out her personal phone, not the Vought-issued device with its monitoring software, and started recording a video. "My name is Sarah Chen," she said to the camera, her voice steady despite everything. "I'm a contracted operative for Vought International's Special Response Division. Today, I was ordered to apprehend or kill a man named Saitama for the crime of freeing children from an illegal research facility. I failed. He could have killed my entire team. Instead, he disarmed us and told us to tell our employers to stop hurting people." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "I don't know if he's a hero or something else, but I know what Vought asked me to do today was wrong. I know there are kids in facilities like Newark who need help. And I know I can't work for people who would rather kill whistleblowers than fix problems." She posted the video to 3 different platforms before Vought's algorithm suppressors could catch it. Within an hour, it had 2 million views. Within 3 hours, it was trending globally with #BoldTruth. Within 6 hours, 7 other Vought operatives had posted similar testimonials, creating a cascade effect that the PR department couldn't contain. In Vought Tower, Madeline Stillwell watched the social media meltdown with the expression of someone watching their career catch fire in real time. Get me damage control, get me legal, and get me Homelander. She paused, looking at Stan Edgar, who sat calmly reviewing financial reports as if the company wasn't experiencing a public relations apocalypse. This is spiraling. Yes, Stan agreed. That's the point. We needed to know how Saitama responds under pressure. Now we know he's principled, effective, and capable of converting our assets into his advocates. Valuable intelligence. He looked up from his reports. The question is whether Homelander can be controlled long enough to be useful, or if we need to implement more permanent solutions. Permanent solutions? Madeline asked carefully. Everyone has leverage, Stan said. We just haven't found Saitama's yet. But we will. And when we do, principle becomes liability. Now, get me a meeting with our Pentagon contacts. If corporate assets can't contain him, perhaps national security interests can provide alternative approaches. Meanwhile, in a safe house that moved locations every 6 hours, Butcher and Saitama sat with Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Huey, watching the social media explosion on multiple screens. You started a movement, Huey said, his voice awed. People are coming forward. They're exposing Vought. They're putting targets on their backs, Mother's Milk interrupted grimly. Every person who posts those videos is someone Vaught's gonna want silenced. We need to get them into protective custody before cleanup crews start making house calls. We don't have the resources for that many people, Frenchie pointed out. Then we get more resources, Butcher said. We leverage this moment. We reach out to everyone who's ever been fucked by Vought, and that's a long fucking list, and we build a coalition. We turn Saitama's one-man crusade into an actual movement. Saitama, who'd been quiet during all this planning, finally spoke. I didn't mean to start a movement. I just wanted to help some kids and buy eggs. Well, congrats, mate. Clapping him on the shoulder. You've done both, and accidentally declared war on corporate America. How's it feel? Saitama thought about this. About children in facilities, about tactical teams sent to kill him, about a world where heroism required corporate approval, and helping people meant breaking laws designed to protect profit. He thought about his old world, where things were simpler, where being strong was enough. Complicated, he said finally. It feels really complicated. Welcome to Earth, Butcher said, where the fight's worth having never end with one punch. Homelander stood in his penthouse suite at the peak of Vought Tower, surrounded by mirrors and memorabilia of his manufactured greatness, watching news coverage of his own irrelevance. Every channel showed the same footage. Saitama, walking through tactical team weapons fire, like someone walking through rain, disarming enhanced operatives with casual efficiency, and speaking to cameras with the kind of genuine moral clarity that couldn't be scripted or focus grouped. The hashtags were multiplying. Bald truth, real heroism, Vaughtleys, and underneath all of them, the implicit question that was driving Homelander slowly, comprehensively insane. If Saitama could do all this without powers that made sense, without corporate backing, without even trying hard, what did that make Homelander? He'd been watching the footage for 6 hours straight. His perfect hair was disheveled. His costume was still on, because taking it off felt like admitting defeat. His eyes glowed faintly red with barely suppressed heat vision that had already destroyed 3 walls and required increasingly creative explanations to maintenance. On his phone, notifications kept arriving, text messages from Ashley begging him not to do anything rash, calls from Madeline trying to manage him, news alerts about his approval ratings, dropping for the first time in 5 years. He threw the phone through the window. Didn't open it first. just threw it through bulletproof glass that exploded outward in a glittering cascade, 40 stories above Manhattan, where it would probably hit someone. But Homelander couldn't bring himself to care, because he was having what therapists might call a complete psychological break, and what everyone else would call a tantrum with apocalyptic potential. "Fuck!" he screamed at the empty room, at the mirrors showing his perfect face, twisted in imperfect rage, at the city below that was starting to question whether their hero was actually heroic. "Fuck, fuck," a knock on his door. Soft, tentative, the kind of knock from someone who knew they were interrupting a lion mid-meal but had orders to do it anyway. "Homelander," Ashley's voice, muffled by reinforced door. "We need to talk about next steps. Madeline wants you in the war room for strategy." "I don't need strategy," Homelander said, his voice suddenly calm, which was somehow more terrifying than the screaming. "I need to rip his bald fucking head off and show everyone that I'm still the strongest, that I'm still the best, that I'm still God." Silence from the other side of the door. Then, Ashley's voice, smaller now. "Sir, Stan Edgar's orders are explicit. No direct confrontation until we have proper containment protocols. If you fight Saitama again and lose on camera—" "I won't lose," Homelander interrupted. "I was holding back before. I was being careful. But I'm done being careful. I'm done being managed. I'm done pretending I need permission from suits who wouldn't last 5 seconds against real power." He walked to the broken window, looking out at the city, at millions of people who used to worship him and were now questioning whether they should. The night air was cold on his face. Below, emergency vehicles were responding to reports of falling glass. Such small concerns. Such fragile people. And they dared to question him? They dared to compare him to some bald nobody in a cheap costume who'd gotten lucky a few times. Homelander stepped out of the window and flew. Not toward Vought's mandated patrol route. Not toward any scheduled appearance or approved heroic activity. He flew toward the last known location of Saitama, the safe house coordinates that Vought's intelligence division had been monitoring but hadn't authorized action on. He flew with heat vision already charging in his eyes, with a rage that had been building since that first flick to his forehead, with the single-minded determination of a god who'd just realized his worshippers might be considering atheism. In the safe house, alarms blared. Huey was monitoring their security system when Homelander appeared on infrared, moving at speeds that made him look like a missile with a cape. "Oh shit, oh shit," Huey chanted, his hands shaking as he pulled up the emergency protocols. "Homelander's incoming. ETA, 90 seconds. He's coming in hot. He's fuck. His heat signature is off the charts. He's gonna level the building. Evacuation." Mother's Milk barked, already moving toward the room where the rescued children slept. "Frenchie, grab the evidence drives. Huey, alert our backup locations. Butcher, get the kids out the back." Butcher interrupted, pulling a gun that would be useless but made him feel marginally better. "I'll buy time." "With what?" Huey demanded. "Harsh language." "He's Homelander. He'll kill you, then I'll die slowing him down," Butcher said simply, his face set in the expression of a man who'd made peace with his own mortality years ago and was just waiting for the receipt. Saitama stood up from the couch where he'd been sitting, watching TV, existing in that state of passive calm that characterized most of his life. "He's coming for me," Saitama said. It wasn't a question. "Yeah," Butcher confirmed. "And he's not coming to talk. He's coming to kill you in front of witnesses and re-establish his dominance." Classic, narcissistic rage pattern. "Will he hurt the kids to get to me?" Saitama asked. Butcher hesitated. The honest answer was yes. Homelander had killed before when his ego was threatened, and collateral damage was just another word for acceptable losses in his twisted psychology. But saying that out loud felt like admitting the children they'd worked so hard to save might die anyway. Probably, Butcher said finally, because lying to Saitama felt wrong. Saitama walked toward the door. Then I should meet him outside, away from everyone. He'll kill you, Huey said, and then immediately realized how stupid that sounded, given everything they'd seen Saitama survive. He'll try, Saitama corrected, but I think this time I need to make sure he understands something. What's that? Mother's Milk asked, while carrying 2 sleeping children toward the emergency exit. Saitama looked back, and his expression was different now, not the usual bored neutrality, but something focused, something that remembered why he'd started being a hero in the first place. That real strength isn't about being the strongest. It's about protecting people weaker than you. And that, when you forget that, you stop being a hero and become just another bully with powers. He walked out of the safe house into the street. The night was clear, the city humming with oblivious life, and overhead, descending like a vengeful deity wrapped in red, white, and blue, came Homelander. He landed 20 feet from Saitama, cracking the asphalt, his eyes blazing red, his perfect face twisted into something ugly and honest. You, Homelander said, his voice shaking with barely controlled fury. You ruined everything. My ratings are dropping. People are questioning me, questioning ME, because of you and your pathetic little crusade, and your stupid bald head, and you're having a breakdown, Saitama interrupted, his voice calm. You should probably talk to someone about that. A therapist, maybe. Homelander's eye twitched. I don't need a therapist. I need you dead. I need everyone to see that I'm still the strongest, that I'm still the best, that I'm still... You're not the strongest, Saitama said simply. You know that now. We both know that. Pretending otherwise just makes you look sad. Something snapped. Whatever thin thread of control Homelander had been clinging to just severed completely. He screamed a wordless roar of pure rage and wounded pride and attacked with everything. Heat vision at full power, creating twin beams that could cut through mountains. Super speed that made his previous fighting look like slow motion. Strength that had demolished buildings and armies and anyone who'd ever dared to challenge him. Saitama dodged the heat vision, blocked the supersonic punches, and caught Homelander mid-flight with one hand wrapped around his throat, not squeezing hard enough to kill, just holding him in place, suspending him in the air, forcing him to confront the reality that all his power, all his God complex, all his carefully constructed supremacy meant nothing against someone who was simply, fundamentally, overwhelmingly stronger. Listen, Saitama said, his voice quiet but carrying absolute authority. I know what it's like to be too strong. I know what it's like when fights don't challenge you anymore, when victory is boring, when being powerful stops meaning anything because nothing can test you. He looked into Homelander's eyes, past the rage and fear to the emptiness underneath. But I never let that turn me into someone who hurts people for fun. I never let boredom become an excuse for cruelty. And you had all this power, and instead of helping people, you used it to make them worship you. That's not heroism. That's just narcissism with a cape. Homelander struggled, his hands clawing at Saitama's grip, his heat vision firing wildly. His entire being focused on escape or victory or anything other than the humiliating reality of being completely, utterly overpowered. "Let me go," he gasped. "I will," Saitama said. "But first you need to understand something. Every time you hurt someone because your ego was bruised, you prove you were never strong. You prove you were always just a scared kid in a grown-up's body, lashing out because you never learned better. Real strength is restraint. Real power is choosing not to destroy when you could. And until you learn that, you're not a hero. You're just a dangerous child with abilities you don't deserve." He released Homelander. Not gently, but not violently either, just opened his hand and let him drop. Homelander caught himself mid-fall, hovering 5 feet off the ground, his expression cycling through rage and humiliation and something that might have been understanding or might have been the final crack in his psychosis. "I could kill everyone in this city," Homelander whispered. "I could start with the kids in that building and work my way out. Millions dead. And you couldn't stop me before I killed thousands. That's power. That's real power." Saitama looked at him with something approaching pity. "You could, but you won't, because then everyone would know for sure what you really are. And you need them to think you're good more than you need to prove you're strong. That's your weakness, not me, not Vought. Your desperate need to be loved by people you think are beneath you." Homelander's hands clenched into fists. His eyes blazed. For a moment, it seemed like he might actually do it, might actually prove Saitama wrong by embracing the monster he'd always been. But then something in his face crumbled, and he flew away. Not toward Vought Tower, not toward any scheduled location, just away, into the night sky, leaving a sonic boom and a profound silence in his wake. Saitama stood in the empty street, watching him disappear, and felt no satisfaction in the victory because it hadn't been a fight, just a demonstration of the difference between power and strength, between being strong and being a hero. Behind him, Butcher and the others emerged from the safe house, having watched the entire confrontation through security cameras. "Did you just give Homelander a therapy session?" Butcher asked, his tone somewhere between impressed and horrified. "I tried," Saitama said. "I don't think it worked." "No, mate. It definitely didn't," Butcher said, looking at the sky where Homelander had vanished. "You just broke him. Completely. And a broken Homelander is either going to become a mass murderer or he's going to finally confront what he is." Mother's milk finished quietly. Either way, the world just changed. Saitama walked back toward the safe house, his hands in his pockets, his cape slightly singed from heat vision but otherwise intact. "I just wanted to buy eggs," he said to no one in particular. "How did it get this complicated?" "Because heroism is complicated," Huey said. "Real heroism. Anyway, not the Vought version." Inside the safe house, the rescued children were being prepared for transport to new safe locations. Outside, the city continued its oblivious existence. And somewhere in the sky above Manhattan, Homelander flew in circles, crying behind his mask, experiencing the complete psychological collapse of a god who'd just learned he was merely a very powerful human, and a broken one at that. The board had changed. The pieces were in motion. And Saitama, who just wanted discount beef and a quiet life, had accidentally saved 14 children, started a movement, and broken the world's most powerful superhero with nothing more than honest observation and 20 seconds of physical dominance. Tomorrow, there would be consequences. Vought would retaliate. The government would get involved. Homelander would either reform or descend into villainy. The movement would grow or be crushed. But tonight, 14 kids slept safely, and a bald man in a yellow suit ate convenience store food and watched hero shows on TV. Content in the knowledge that he'd done what was right, even when it was complicated. That was enough. For now, that was enough. 3 weeks after the confrontation, the world had fractured along new lines that no one had predicted, and everyone was still trying to understand. Homelander disappeared. Not physically, he still lived in his penthouse, still wore his suit, still technically existed on Vought's roster. But the man who'd terrorized and protected America in equal measure had gone silent. No public appearances, no rescues, no brutal demonstrations of power. He spent his days staring at mirrors, and his nights flying to altitudes where the air was thin and the city below looked like scattered light, rather than millions of individual lives he'd once considered his subjects. Something inside him had broken when Saitama held him by the throat and spoke uncomfortable truth. Whether it would heal into something better or metastasize into something worse remained to be seen. But for now, America's most dangerous hero was engaged in the world's most consequential identity crisis. Vought International's stock price dropped 18%. The testimonial videos from operatives like Sarah Chen had created a cascade effect that even their comprehensive PR machinery couldn't contain. Congressional hearings were announced. Federal investigations opened. The carefully constructed wall between Vaught's public heroism and private atrocities developed cracks that widened daily as more whistleblowers came forward, emboldened by Saitama's example and protected by Butcher's expanding network. The pharmaceutical division was dissolved, its facilities raided, its executives facing charges that would take years to prosecute, but had already destroyed their reputations. Stan Edgar remained CEO, but his untouchable aura had been punctured. Even infrastructure could bleed when punched hard enough in the right places. The 14 children from Newark were scattered across the country under new identities, living with families who understood their trauma and their potential. Some were recovering well. Some would carry scars forever. All of them had been given a second chance at lives that weren't defined by corporate experimentation. Occasionally, in the news, there would be reports of a mysterious figure in yellow, stopping crimes in their neighborhoods, never staying long, never seeking credit, just ensuring they remained safe. The kids called him the Bald Guardian. Saitama called it his Tuesday routine. Billy Butcher's operation expanded from a handful of traumatized vigilantes to something approaching an actual organization. They called it the Real Heroes Initiative, a name Huey suggested, and everyone hated but kept, because rebranding felt like corporate behavior. They identified Vought facilities engaged in questionable activities, extracted victims, leaked evidence, and generally made life difficult for any hero who thought their powers exempted them from accountability. Saitama helped when asked, but refused any formal role. He was still just a guy who was a hero for fun. And bureaucracy sounded decidedly not fun. The movement that formed around Saitama took on life beyond his control or understanding. Artists painted murals of his bald head on buildings. Musicians wrote songs about genuine heroism versus corporate products. Activists used his example to challenge the entire system that had commodified protection and monetized salvation. He became a symbol, which made him uncomfortable because symbols couldn't go grocery shopping without being recognized. He started wearing hats, which helped until someone posted photos of Bald Hero in disguise. And the hats became collectible merchandise he neither authorized nor profited from. The government, as governments do when confronted with problems they can't control, formed a committee to study the Saitama situation. 3 branches of military intelligence opened files. The Pentagon war-gamed scenarios. Proposals for superhuman registration laws gained traction. Saitama ignored all of it and continued helping people, demonstrating through persistent action that permission from authorities was optional when the authorities had proven they couldn't be trusted. This made him simultaneously the most dangerous and most necessary person in America, depending on who was asked. Ashley Barrett had a nervous breakdown and was replaced by someone even more anxious, which no one thought was possible, but Vought managed anyway. Madeline Stillwell survived the scandal through strategic sacrificing of subordinates and her uncanny ability to remain adjacent to disasters without being directly implicated. The 7 held recruitment drives for Homelander's potential replacement, though no one expected to find someone who could fill the void left by their absent god. Some voids were better left empty. And Saitama? He returned to his aggressively normal apartment with its cheap furniture and old TV and freezer full of discount groceries acquired through dedicated sale watching. He watched hero shows and thought about how fictional heroes had simpler problems, clear villains, obvious solutions, victories that felt meaningful. His own victories felt muddier, complicated. He'd saved kids but destroyed Homelander's psyche. He'd exposed corruption but destabilized the systems people relied on for security. He'd done what was right and created chaos in equal measure. But when his flip phone rang with Butcher's number, reporting another facility that needed attention, another group that needed help, another situation where his strength could make a difference, he went, always. Without hesitation, because that's what heroes did. Even when heroism was complicated, even when victories were partial, even when doing the right thing created new problems. Especially then, the world didn't need perfect heroes. It needed genuine ones. It needed people who helped because helping mattered, who fought because fighting was right, who stood up when everyone else sat down, not for fame or profit or worship, but because someone had to, and they were able. Saitama was many things: bored, isolated, powerful beyond measure, terrible at emotional connection, excellent at finding grocery sales, but most importantly, he was genuine. And in a world that had learned to manufacture and market everything, including heroism, genuine was revolutionary. Homelander would either destroy himself or rebuild into something better. Vought would adapt or collapse. The systems would reform or ossify. But none of that was Saitama's responsibility. His responsibility was simpler: see someone in trouble, help them, go home. Everything else, the movements, the symbols, the political fallout, was just noise. Important noise, maybe. World-changing noise, possibly. But still just noise compared to the fundamental act of one person choosing to help another. He sat on his couch that night, eating instant ramen, watching a show where heroes fought monsters with elaborate strategies and dramatic power-ups. On his phone, a text from an unknown number. "Thank you for saving us. We're safe now. We're happy. The kids from Newark." He read it 3 times, saved it, and felt something that might have been satisfaction, or might have been purpose, or might have been the closest thing to fulfillment he'd experienced since arriving in this complicated world. Outside his window, Manhattan hummed with life. Millions of stories, thousands of problems, countless people who needed help and wouldn't get it from corporate heroes with contracts and focus groups. Some of them would be saved by Butcher's organization, some by reformed soups who'd found their conscience, some by Saitama himself when his Tuesday walks happened to intersect with their crises. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough, but it was better than nothing. Better than the alternative. Better than accepting that heroism required permission from people who'd proven they used their authority to protect profit over people. The multiverse had given Saitama many things: invulnerability, strength, boredom, isolation. Now it had given him something else: complexity. The challenge of being strong in a world where strength alone wasn't sufficient, where every punch needed to be paired with strategy. Every victory measured against unintended consequences. Every good deed complicated by systemic rot that couldn't be punched through but had to be dismantled, piece by careful piece. He finished his ramen, threw away the cup, brushed his teeth, went to bed in his small apartment with its thin walls and cheap mattress and absolute absence of heroic grandeur. And he slept deeply, dreamlessly. The sleep of someone who'd done their best in an imperfect world and would wake up tomorrow to do it again. Because that's what heroes did. Not just the strong ones, not just the famous ones, but the genuine ones. The ones who kept showing up, kept helping, kept punching through walls when necessary, and exercising restraint when possible. The ones who understood that real heroism wasn't about being worshipped, it was about being useful. And Saitama, For all his boredom and isolation and incomprehension of this world's complex systems, understood that perfectly. Is greater than is greater than is greater than. The multiverse never sleeps. More crossovers await.